Hello there everyone, how you doing today? I hope you're all well. Today we're going into r/AskReddit to ask the police officers of Reddit what was the most disturbing case they ever encountered. If you enjoy, like and subscribe, and leave a comment with your thoughts or stories down below. I'd love to cover your stories in a video one day. Now, without further ado, let's get started. City cop here. There's a few that rack around my brain, but one of them haunted me for a long time. I responded to a 911 call one cold winter day. It was a wellness check at a home for at-risk women. I was with a cop that I've known for a few years. Not my regular partner, he was off that day. I knew I'd be handling the heavy lifting and investigating for this job, so I took the lead. We showed up at the building and I made contact with the security guard. I told him why I was there and he offered to help. He had a key for the apartment, so he followed me in case I needed access. The woman who hadn't called hadn't seen her friend in a few days. I actually knew the caller. I've been to this building in the past. The caller lived across the hall and her friend was battling cancer. She wanted us to check on her in case she needed help. I knocked on the door and there was no response, but I could hear the TV or the radio in the apartment. I asked the security officer to unlock the door, and I announced myself. The apartment was extremely dark and quiet. I immediately could tell something was wrong. There was dried fecal matter on the floor and several spots of dried vomit. I walked down the hallway and turned right, towards the kitchen. I had my flashlight out. I scanned the kitchen and found the girl slumped down. The poor lady clearly had passed away in the last day or so. The burn above her was on. It appears she was trying to make some soup or something, and experienced some sort of distress and passed away right there. Her head was slumped down. She was wearing underwear and some sort of night top. She had mucus running down her nose downwards that had solidified in places. It was cold in the apartment. The scene was sad. She was extremely pale, bald and thin. Her body resembled something more of a zombie than human. I was taken back by the desperation of her situation, the human fecal matter all over the apartment, her loss of bodily autonomy with her bowels, her desperation to keep fighting for her life. How alone she was. I placed myself there. She must have felt scared and alone, and that's always made my heart ache. The most horrible thing I ever did as a cop was, I didn't move her. I didn't move her body into a more comfortable position or put a blanket over her. I left her body there. I was so disturbed that I did nothing other than turn the burner off. It sat with me for years. We'll usually move the body onto a bed and place a blanket on them if it clearly wasn't a murder or there wasn't foul play involved. But I did nothing. I don't remember her name, but I think about her often, and it makes me reach out to my family and loved ones harder. I wouldn't wish such a lonely ending on anyone. Not me, but my friend was a cop in Detroit. He said the worst was when he had to pull a dead 2-year-old off the gear shift he was impaled on. That was a smaller thread than I thought it would be, so I'm going back on to another question. r/AskReddit. Which profession attracts the worst kinds of people? I'm a casino dealer. People losing money brings out the worst qualities in them, especially when I deal high-limit games. Plus, the pit boss supervisors won't throw a person out who is literally spending thousands. Doesn't matter what they do or say. The casino doesn't want to lose those kinds of patrons. They're catered to. They can be so awful to the dealers. The job has made me look at humanity in a completely different light. Pro relationship tip. Bring a date to the casino and see how they treat the dealer if they're losing. You'll see what kind of person they really are. I have about 10 years of experience in the industry. And we got something underneath that story. When I was out in Cali, I lived relatively close to Vegas and would go there pretty often to play blackjack and to just be an overall degenerate. Dealers were my favorite part of the night. Even when I went home broke, the dealers always got a decent cut of my would-be winnings. They often make losing more enjoyable, and I appreciated it when they were like, "Hey man, maybe go get some fresh air and come back. I'll hold your seat." Though I definitely remember more than one encounter between people who were in absolutely no condition to be gambling, pull themselves up to the table, lose their whole ass, and then berate the dealer and talk shit to the whole table. Like, sorry you lost because I didn't hit my 17 when the dealer is showing a 6, but that's just the game. Let's just ignore how he didn't hit his 15 when the dealer was showing an 8, and how it screwed up the whole table. You get to meet the whole range of people on the $5 tables. $25 and up tables, though, man, those dudes get salty. Stockbrokers. I have some friends who are stockbrokers. I love them, but man, they are some bullshit artists. And not like, oh, they're a good salesman and could sell you anything. No. No. It's like they make shit up as they go along and try to sound confident in what they say. Next comment down. I've met a couple people who were successful lifetime stockbrokers. To be a successful lifetime stockbroker, you have to like what you do. They all had crazy eyes, each and every one. I knew someone in college who had an internship worth $40,000 over the summer, with the stock investing branch of a bank. Suffice to say, he was poised to enter the Wall Street job market and expects to make between $3 to $8 million in salary by 30 years old. He was nice enough to me, but he was just a genuinely bad person. He would constantly degrade and objectify his girlfriend. He was literally always looking for a hotter girlfriend, even though his girlfriend seemed like a good person and was 5'5" with an undeniably solid dimensions. This dude would talk about not respecting women in the field all the time, or talk about token minorities as if it was a miracle that they were talented. He wasn't even white, but this guy just bought into all the stockbroker stereotypes so hard. Believed in male superiority and racial superiority for American/West European white people, Indian and Chinese people over basically everyone. So much so that he literally wouldn't help people from certain groups, especially women, when he was a knowledgeable figure in clubs and stuff. I can't imagine trying to be in a field that's so hostile towards me. I am very thankful to not be in that situation. My significant other, however, is a woman in computer science and mathematics. She never complains, but I can see plain as day that people treat her differently. Literally 2 days ago, she was excluded from a group discussion because someone questioned her inclusion twice, just because made a continuous assumption that she wasn't a peer. My mom worked in a prison. She said that a lot of the men in there are in there for sex offenses against children who had or were looking for jobs like driving ice cream vans, dressing as Santa at shopping centers, etc., as they like kids sitting on their laps and all that. Apparently it's way more common than people would think. I was a correctional officer, and the people who were in there for the worst crimes were always the nicest, most respectful inmates, and looked very normal, whatever normal is, really. I think that's what was always really creepy. Hollywood producer, it seems, over and over and over and over. Politicians over and over and over and over. Also the executives that run MLMs. They're all bullies and manipulators, the worst kind of people that will tell you that your brother's funeral is a good place to recruit investors. And we have a story about MLMs below that. A good friend of mine is currently in deep. Started as just doing it for savings, but of course that didn't last long. The sad thing is she's not that kind of person at all. Nowhere even close. She is religious though, which I've noticed seems to have a correlation with MLMs. A lot of women in MLMs are from religious families and backgrounds. My friend has genuinely been brainwashed. We were so close. I watched her go through the whole process. She was my best friend. We don't talk much now because this thing has kinda taken over her life. But she genuinely believes the lie and is in total denial and thinks she's doing good for people by recruiting them. I used to try and talk her round. Then it got to the point where I could see I would just lose her if I kept bringing it up. I just hope she'll walk away. They are dangerous and damaging. It makes me so sad and angry that I've lost my friend and she's losing herself to that BS. Okay, so not really a profession, but there's a certain subset of musicians who are also wannabe influencers. Particular people who are very on Twitter. So very much backstabby and clout hungry. Paparazzi. I don't particularly pay attention to celebrity stuff, but I'll never forget when paparazzi climbed up the fence around Michelle Williams after Heath Ledger died to snap photos of a woman grieving her husband, who had unexpectedly passed away a matter of days ago. I was pretty deep into my little arachnopunk. Mainstream media, who cares kind of stage at the time, but I remember feeling such a deep sadness for Homegirl, that not only did she have to deal with her husband's untimely death and taking care of her kids by herself, but she also had to deal with these grimy mother frickers trying to make a buck off her photos of her sobbing in her own backyard. I thought I wanted to be an architect, but then I met a bunch of architects and architecture students and architecture professors, and they were all pretty much assholes. It was weird. I mean, how could it be so consistent? But yeah, there you have it. I used to teach in a program that often fed students into the world of architecture. Every semester I would orchestrate one carrot where I would bring in architects to critique students' work. No matter how much coaching I did to both visiting architects and the students would feel crushed by their feedback, and they were almost always in tears. I often hear back from the students that it was the most impactful part of our work together. Property agents. I have a few friends that have become realtors later in life. The ones that stayed with it totally changed who they are. After a few years, they are hardly recognizable as the same people. Vain, shallow, and 100% of the time, they are in character and trying to sell. Had a coworker I really liked a couple years back. Got tired of our cruddy pay and worked hours so quick and became a realtor. It's so bizarre how it's just become her personality. Her Facebook and Instagram pages are of her in professional attire, giving that South Park-style professional smile and stance look, and literally all of her posts are about selling houses. I guess I can't be mad at the hustle, but it's so weird to ditch your whole personality like that. That's the end of today's video. I hope you all enjoyed. Remember to leave your stories and thoughts in the comments below, and to like and subscribe, and maybe hit that notification bell so you can keep up to date with my content in the future. I will see you all next time.